And I see we have a court reporter, so I will go ahead and ask our team to please elevate the court reporter. Good morning. Are you ready for us to go on the record?
Good morning. Yes, I am.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. I will go ahead and get us started with our usual introductions. Welcome back. It's been, I don't know, 2 weeks or so. It's November 17th, 2025. I'm Nicole Kinsey, presiding hearing officer for the Administrative Hearings Office of the State Water Resources Control Board. This is the hearing on the pending petitions for change of water right permits 16478, 16479, 16481, and 16482 of the Department of Water Resources for the proposed Delta Conveyance project. I am conducting this hearing in accordance with the July 31st, 2024 Notice of Public Hearing and subsequent amendments. The hearing is being conducted by Zoom webinar and is being broadcast live on the AHO YouTube channel. Both the audio and video of this hearing are being recorded, and we will post files of this recording in the FTP folder for this proceeding. The YouTube recording will also be available on the AHO YouTube webpage. Ms. Mullen is with us today and will be handling the screen sharing of exhibits and moving along of any slides. So if you're a witness today, you are welcome to address Ms. Mullen directly and ask her to advance your slides. And cross-examiners are welcome to ask Ms. Mullen to bring up a particular exhibit. It looks to me like we're going to have a short day, but as necessary, we will take breaks and lunch, etc., and have a hard stop at 5 p.m. if we get to that point. I think we have a couple of procedural items probably to address this morning, and we'd start with that. And then, as I understand, we will be turning to Hood Community Council's witnesses. We can talk about who we have on the list, but I believe we only have two, at least according to my review of where we are. But the procedural items I wanted to talk about, let's see, I have two housekeeping items. One is it's come to my attention that we had the hearing team had created a consolidated transcript for DWR's case in chief. I think because of some of the permissions on the, which I know were unintentional, but on the PDFs, that compilation is not complete. So we are working on fixing that, and we may reach out to DWR if we need to, if there's some issue with the permissions on the files. It's sort of, I understand it, I think the permissions are set so that you can't change the file, which makes sense, but then it means we can't combine them, and it is quite useful to have a combined transcript, but some of them worked and some of them didn't, so we're working on it. But I wanted to bring that to all of your attention, that file is not complete at this point. The other thing I wanted to raise was the October 31st email schedule that I had sent out. I believe there was a typo in it, and the next time I send out that we issue an amended hearing notice, I will correct it, but I think one of the dates was essentially doubled. Let me pull it up and make sure I get this right. I believe it's the December 5th date. So it's, again, this is the AHO's October 31st email of 9:48 a.m., which includes a schedule of all these deadlines related to offers of evidence and that kind of thing. And December 1st, it states deadline for parties to identify the November 10th site visit witnesses for cross-examination, and December 5th repeats that description. That's an error. December 5th should be the deadline for parties to identify where's the other deadline here? Essentially to respond to the request for witnesses, whether that testimony is being offered not as testimony, but as a policy statement, and confirming that the parties are available. We may have moved on. I mean, I think DWR has addressed a number of the witnesses, although I think not the November 10th witnesses. So I wanted to clarify that date, and I will, if we get an amended hearing notice out between now and December 5th, I will clarify that. But if there are any questions, we can address that today. So those were two housekeeping items. And then with that, I wanted to jump to a discussion of December 9th and 10th. But before I do, I thought maybe I can pause. Are there any other kind of minor housekeeping issues that we should talk about? I see a hand from Ms. Bear, so let's start there. If we can please elevate Ms. Bear.
Good morning, Officer Kenzie. Tara Bear for the Delta Tribal Environmental Coalition parties. I'm wondering when we can expect to receive a ruling on the scope of rebuttal and specifically the question of whether DTEC will be permitted to present rebuttal testimony in response to the October 28th panel on tribal issues that was produced following subpoenas issued by DTEC to DOWR. I'm asking now because the deadline for parties to submit objections in response to offers of exhibits is Wednesday, and DTEC will not be able to determine whether to lodge objections to the exhibits DWR submitted, the majority of which were related to that October 28th panel, until we understand the extent to which we will be allowed to rebut the testimony from that panel. Thank you.
Ah, I had not thought of that. It's not going to be, I doubt it will be by Wednesday, because it's Monday. It's next on my list, and I was I was aiming for Friday, um, but it probably won't be by Wednesday. Let me take a look at that, and I will, if it is all possible. But I think you should be prepared to lodge the necessary objections as needed, to reserve your. You, you can handle your own legal strategy here, but um, I think you probably should count on that because I'm not sure that I'll be able to address that by Wednesday, and I hadn't thought of that angle on it. I, of course, was thinking that the protestants' rebuttal case comes in whenever it is, March, April, far in the
Okay,
future. So, but thank you for bringing
understood.
that up, and I will try to. I mean, if there is a way to get to that, I need to revisit the issues and think about it. So, thank you,
Understood. Thank you.
thank you. If we can elevate Ms. Carroll, please. Oh, and we have Mr. Krieger. Sorry, Mr. Krieger. My team was ahead of me. Please.
Good morning, Hearing Officer Kenzie Miles Krieger for the State Water Contractors. I wanted to ask when we might expect a ruling on the rebuttal deadline request that we made. I mean, it's embedded in an objection that we made to the procedural ruling, but I was hopeful that we might have a decision from your office soon about that because obviously December 22nd is sort of coming up.
It is sort of coming up. Again, all those together, I was looking at the scope of rebuttal and then the schedule and all of those things as one, and aiming to try to get it out by the end of the week, before the holiday week, if you will. So
Okay,
that's
thank
the
you very much. I appreciate
goal.
that.
Ms. Carroll.
Good morning, Hearing Officer
Morning.
Kinsey and Carol for DWR. DWR would not be adverse to a 2-day extension if you wish to save Ms. Bear some time and wait till Friday for your ruling.
Well, and they need to look at yeah, but then they don't have to lodge it. Okay,
Oh.
that's good but yes, but maybe if I can get it out on Wednesday, then there's time to.
True.
Thank you.
And then
Let me take a look at that and I will respond to that today. If an extension is appropriate, if I think I can get it all in. Thank you for that.
No, I appreciate that. And if I could also get my colleague Kaylee Minton elevated, I'd appreciate that. Thank you.
Can we please elevate Ms. Minton? Good morning, Ms. Minton.
Good morning.
You may not intend to be. Oh, there you are. Now you're on camera. Good morning. Did you have a procedural item as well, or are we just making an appearance?
I'm sorry, I missed that. My volume wasn't on
Oh,
there.
that's. I was asking whether you had anything to raise or whether you were just making your appearance this morning.
Making my appearance. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Brodsky. Do you have a procedural item here?
Good morning. I don't know if this is necessarily procedural, but in terms of the formal offering of exhibits into evidence, where we've relied or cited some of the AHO exhibits, I assume we don't have to offer that's already a part of the record, or how does that work?
That's a good question. So the AHO exhibits we will consider as offered. I am now offering them, so to speak, on behalf of the hearing team. If there are objections to those are certainly can be brought in, along with any other objections.
Okay.
So no, the individual parties do not need to offer those. Those are offered in total.
And then as far as another party's exhibit, if that party has already offered it, I assume we wouldn't offer it again, or
Correct. That's correct.
Okay. And I was just wondering, at the rebuttal phase, will there be another round of policy statements, or are we done with that?
No, that is not my intent. That we have at this point received policy statements. If there was a request to submit a policy statement in writing, I can understand that certain considerations may change during the course of this hearing. That is something I would consider, but my intent was not to have an additional day of oral policy statements.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other procedural items before I turn to December 9th and 10th? And I think, well, we can get to this. So my understanding is that we had two requests for, I think Mr. Zuckerman and Mr. Klein, or on their behalf, have requested to appear in person for any cross-examination. Well, let me back up a little bit. So my understanding, let's lay this background, is so far DWR has requested to cross-examine Ms. Berrigan-Perea, Mr. Fern, Ms. Cortez, Mr. Zuckerman, Mr. Klein, and Mr. Gigoni. We have not yet heard about the November 10th. As I understand, we have not, if I'm remembering my schedule correctly, we have not yet heard about the November 10th witnesses because we don't yet have that video. Based on that, Mr. Klein and Mr. Zuckerman, I believe, requested to testify in person on either the 9th or 10th. There were some limitations, I realize, on schedule, at least on the 10th. But we did, in advance of this conversation today, I did look into availability of a room at Cali, PA, because that, of course, would be a limiting factor. We do have availability, so we can, in terms of logistics, we can logistically hold part or all of our day on the 9th or the 10th in person. It looks to me, and I wanted to see if there are any objections to that, but here's the full proposal, which is that we could meet in person on the morning of the 9th at 9 a.m. at the Cali PA building. We could hear from any witnesses who would like to appear in person. And then we could break, I believe we did this on another hearing day break, and reconvene on Zoom. I think it's a little awkward to have witnesses appear on Zoom when some of us are in the hearing room. I'm not sure how that works exactly. So I think it's cleaner for us to break and reconvene and hear from the Zoom witnesses. So far, it looks to me like we could get everyone through in one day, but we don't. I don't want to take anything off calendar at this point. I would continue to reserve part of the day on the 10th. But I think we could get through it all on the 9th. And then an additional note for all of you is that the State Water Board, has a conflict on the afternoon of the 10th. So my intent is to take the afternoon of the 10th, starting at no later than 1 o'clock off calendar. So we're really looking at the possibility of the 9th and holding the morning of the 10th. But with that description, I wanted to look particularly to DWR and see if you had any objection to convening in person on the morning of the 9th to hear from Mr. Zuckerman and Mr. Klein.
We don't have any objection, but we do share your concerns about logistics for the rest of the witnesses and the time that would take, especially with removing the afternoon of the 10th.
Thank you. And then I believe Mr. Reese, you had a hand, but you took it down. We may have, let's please elevate Mr. Reese. Good morning, Mr. Reese.
Good morning, Dean Reese for the SDWA parties. No, I think the question really was to DWR. That's why I took my hand down. That proposal that you set forth for the in-person on the 9th would work fine for us.
Okay.
If possible.
Are there any other comments on, so here's what I propose for now. We plan to meet in person on the 9th in the morning. We would take a break probably of an hour once we've heard from those witnesses. Ideally, that would cover some of our lunch break, but if we're through those witnesses early, I think we should use the time, find our way to our own computer stations, and then reconvene and pick up with any witnesses appearing by Zoom. If any of the other witnesses want to appear in person, that's something we could accommodate as well. So that's open. If we can please elevate Ms. Meserve. Good morning, Ms. Meserve.
Good morning. OSHA Reserve for San Joaquin County and other parties. I guess I was just going to mention that something that may help in the planning, especially with the accommodation for the in-person, which we do appreciate for these particular witnesses, is if DWR could provide estimates of cross-exam for all of the witnesses that they've requested to cross-exam, then that would, I think, help all of us who are assisting those witnesses, and also the hearing officer and your team to plan for how that transition would occur and when. Thanks.
Thank you. So that's helpful, Ms. Meserve. So let's do this. I think we already have dates with respect to requests for the rest of the witnesses on December 1st. And then we have a response date to that on December 5th. So here's what I would ask is that on December 1st, if DWR would provide estimates of cross, and that's along with identifying any additional witnesses from November 10th, estimates of cross for each of the witness. And then on December 5th, and I realized, and there's also, I think we also are hearing from a DWR witness. I shouldn't say it's not one-sided, it goes both ways. So clarify that, but on the 5th, that parties would identify whether their witness is planning to attend on the 9th in person or to appear virtually by Zoom. And then I will commit to getting out as soon as possible confirmation of when our break would be. I mean, generally speaking, a confirmation of an estimate of when the break would be. Are there any comments on that proposal? I think that would.
Hearing Officer Kinsey, I think
Please.
that's a good proposal, but being on the conservative side, I would ask if maybe we could identify one more date just in case, just because we could take it off calendar if needed. But if we're taking out the afternoon and we're having the transition, just thinking in my head, I think we have 6 witnesses identified so far.
6 for DWR, but I believe
And then
I
Dr.
don't
Tree.
recall which protestant, but called one of your witnesses as well.
Right, so 7 total.
Yep. Cross will be limited to the scope of but really, I mean, what are the estimates of cross that we're not gonna have direct testimony, right? We're just going straight into cross. So I think we're gonna roll through this pretty quickly if we have even with a lunch break. I mean, we'll have a pretty good amount of time. I realize in person is a little more logistics, but I'm gonna, this may be the time I make a mistake, but I think I'm going to stick with a day and a half.
Sounds good.
Knowing that on the 10th that we may roll through. I mean, we'll start at 9 a.m. and we may go to 1 p.m. Yeah, that we would roll through our normal lunch break if needed. Thank you. Is there anything else in terms of logistics? Ms. Desjardins, if we can please elevate Ms. Desjardins. Good morning, Ms. Desjardins. You need to come off mute. You are on mute.
I had a question on a different topic, and I quickly lowered my hand when you said, "Are there any more questions on logistics?"
Well, I think anything else before we proceed to our main event of the day. So please.
Okay. I had some questions, which I posed in an email to the hearing team, about, the documentation for, DWR's 95th percentile methodology. And I asked if, so you requested that the document that DWR referenced, risk-informed scenarios development, be submitted, but it's already been submitted into evidence. They have linked to a December 2023 version of the document, and it's the August 2023. And the reason this is significant is DWR uses a different methodology, and it wasn't clear. It uses a stochastic weather generator. The climate models, the CMIP-6 global climate models are just used to derive parameters to drive the weather generator. Two very simple parameters, one constant number for precipitation, one constant number for temperature increase, which are used over the entire grid. So it's really the weather generator, and I'm concerned that the water hearing team staff might have just read the plain language descriptions of the scenarios and not really understood the details. And I did submit a declaration.
So we lost audio on you, Ms. Desjardins. I'm not sure why. You're not on mute. And now there we go. We can't hear you.
Can you
There
hear
we
me
go.
now?
Now we can hear you.
Yeah,
Can't
and
see
my
you, but we
video,
can- Yeah, when you turn your video on, it
okay,
cuts audio.
maybe it's a limited bandwidth issue, which I haven't had before. So basically, I did identify that there is a very substantially different methodology used in DWR's delivery capability modeling. It's the stochastic weather generator. There are certain assumptions made, which I documented in a declaration that I filed. I did review it more thoroughly, but I'm concerned that before approving it, the hearing team didn't really review or understand it, and DWR witnesses and counsel did not accurately describe it. They said it was global climate models and CMIP-6. And the global climate models are, produced at national centers and extensively tested and validated and represent physical processes, and are sort of common or kind of pre-validated for representing processes. DWR stochastic weather generator.
So Ms.
They left
Desjardins,
out a module.
This is not the time to talk substance, but let's get into the logistics here, which you did raise the issue about the different documents. My understanding, and this is from a step back because I'm not deep into these documents personally, but my understanding from the hearing team is that there are two documents with different dates, and we asked for the other one because the other one is the one that, and I don't recall which dates were which, is the one that appears to have been referenced by DWR. So we were just trying to make sure we have the version of the document the underlying document that DWR had referenced. My understanding, DWR 214 is in the record, but it's the August 2023 version, and we are looking for the December 2023 version to make sure we have the correct underlying document. So we are following up on that.
So DWR had that December 2023 document available when they submitted their case in chief, and it's just it is a little odd to me that it's like, well, and here's this modeling and here's our December 2023 document, and oh, let's submit this. And it just creates a procedural irregularity when that's referenced as documentation that wasn't available to the hearing when it was actually, submitted. It wasn't referenced in testimony much, but it was submitted substantively here. And I'm concerned that I'm concerned about that it's represented that I'm concerned about a decision being made to accept this modeling without reference to the technical documentation that was exhibited, which did describe something different from what DWR's counsel asserted, which was
So,
that it was based on the CMIP 6 models.
so Ms. Desjardins, I'm trying to unravel what it is you're asking for. Are you objecting? Because on the one hand, it sounds like you're objecting to the AHO's request for the December version of the document, but on the other hand, it sounds like you're objecting to the AHO's consideration of the model runs without the December 2023 document. So
I think
which is it?
I think maybe I should file something in writing, but it is procedurally, it seems like you relied largely on verbal on characterizations by DWR's counsel that were very inaccurate. So that's an issue. And as a technical expert, it's an issue because it is a completely different methodology, and for have it just start being used by the water board without any examination of the methodology is a huge issue for this and future proceedings.
So this sounds like an objection to the AHO's request for additional model runs from DWR.
Not to the request for additional model runs, but to the approval that these model runs were responsive to the request based on assertions that they use the CMIP 6 global climate models.
Okay, if you would please submit something in writing, I think that would be the most clear way to address this.
Yeah, somebody who spent a lot of time looking at climate models and what's happening with climate, this is more important than you might think.
Well, and it's going to come down to, I'll preview for you, whether this is properly addressed as in here or whether it's an objection. Then you can frame it, whether it's an opportunity to present evidence in rebuttal, but I think file something in writing and then we can move forward.
One could definitely rebut some of the assertions in that document and explain the issues. I'm just concerned about the acceptance that this modeling is responsive to the water board's request.
Understood. Thank you, Ms. Desjardins.
Okay.
With that, are there any other items we should address before we turn to Mr. Brodsky's witnesses? Then I will look to you, Mr. Brodsky. Would you please just confirm for me, my understanding from looking back at where we are is that we have Mr. Tomlin and Ms. Mann. Is that accurate?
Yes, that's correct. We were planning to go with Ms. Mann first and then Mr. Tomlin. So Ms. Mann should be on board here. And I was just gonna email Mr. Tomlin and give him a little update on what time to expect. I wonder if it would be okay to ask Ms. Carroll if she has any estimate on how long she'll take on cross.
Yes, please. If we look to Ms. Carroll, do you have an estimate for cross for Ms. Mann?
Good morning.
Or Ms. Minton, hi.
Hello. I think it's going to be no more than 30 minutes.
Thank you. And then for Mr. Tomlin, I think long ago there was an estimate of 30 minutes, either Ms. Carroll or Ms. Minton. Is that still accurate?
Yes, Hearing Officer Kinsey, that's still accurate. Thank you.
Thank you. Wonderful. And then with that, I believe we have Ms. Mann in the room. Ms. Mann, you're welcome to come on camera and off mute. Good morning, Ms. Mann. And I'm sure you're working to, looks like you need to slide your camera cover over and come off mute when you're ready.
Can you hear us okay, Ms. Mann?
You can try the space bar. Sometimes that helps come off mute. Or at the bottom, there's the microphone, and clicking that at the bottom of it should be at the bottom of your screen. There we go. Looks like you may need to try again. That looks good. Good morning, Ms. Mann. Let's test your audio, please. You are off mute, but we can't hear you. The other piece here is it looks like if you're using your camera on your laptop or computer, it looks like the cover for it might be halfway on, which is we can only see half of the screen here. Here's what I would, since we don't have audio or full visual, it makes it hard, a little difficult. Mr. Brodsky, here's what I would propose is that we take about a 5-minute break, and maybe you can work with Ms. Mann. We can leave,
Okay.
Zoom up and see if you can. You may need another form of communication and to walk through.
Okay, we'll do. I'll get with her. Thank you very much.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Let's come back at 9:38. All right, I'll look to our court reporter. Are you ready for us to go back on the record?
Yes, ready to go.
Thank you. And then Mr. Brodsky and then Ms. Mann, did we?
She went to get another computer, and she believes there's something wrong with her computer. At the same time, I am commissioning a new laptop that I bought the other day and for such an emergency, but never set it up. So I'm starting to set it up. So I expect her to be in a minute or two with her iPad rather than her laptop. And then in the meantime, I'm gonna set up this. I guess one thing we may need another 5 minutes.
Yeah, no, and that's maybe let's go ahead and make it 10 because computers, I don't know. If you want them to move fast, they go slower. So let's go ahead and oh, my team is asking whether she may need a new link. If you try to so our links are device specific. So if she tries to log in with a different device, she may be unable to, which means she may need a new link, but that may also mean that we need another email.
Do email address or
A different email address. This is part of our security protocols. Sometimes they're
okay. So if she has webmail, for example, and she switches from her laptop to her iPad, and then logs into her webmail from the iPad and clicks the link, it won't work on the iPad. Then is what you're saying.
we don't know.
We could
It
try
may
it.
not.
Okay.
So it may not,
Oh.
and so that's maybe so maybe in the meantime,
Well, I'll
you
try to
can
address that as
that's
well.
another way, and it could be any if you have a second email address and then you could forward it to her.
I
That seems
have a
to
bunch
work.
of email addresses. I
Okay,
don't,
so that's one way
you
to
know,
work
the
around
old
it.
joke about you give your your sexy email address to an official body. We won't
Right.
do that. I'll give you one of the plain ones.
Please, an appropriate email address. That'd be good.
Yeah.
Uh,
Okay, let's try again in 10 minutes. And I thank you very much for your patience, and
Yep.
also thank you very much to opposing counsel for your patience.
And thank you. Let's come back at 9:51. Good luck. Thank you. All right, welcome back. We'll look again to the court reporter. Are you ready for us to go back on the record?
Yes, ready to go.
Great. And then I see Mr. Brodsky, and I do not see Ms. Mann currently, but she
Yeah,
probably is
so
on another device and we need to let her in. No, she's not there either.
she
We're working on
has
it?
another device. She said the link didn't work on the new device.
Okay.
So I have an alternate email for her.
Do you want to email it to us?
Okay.
You don't need to broadcast it on YouTube. It's
That's a wonderful suggestion.
Mhm.
Okay. And let's see. So let me get your
And thank you all for your patience. I'm once again reminded it is so much logistically easier to do the things this way than in person. So occasionally these technical challenges come up.
yeah.
And we all know the reason for our security protocols. So
Right. Okay, I've sent the alternate email address.
great. And this should just be fairly quick on our end.
Okay.
Thank you. All right, my team reports that the link has been sent to that email address. So you should see
Okay.
that coming through, Mr. Brodsky.
So I'll give her about 60 seconds, and if she's not on, then I'll call her to make sure she's gotten it. But
Great.
she is standing by and expecting it.
Thank you.
I guess I better give her a call. All right, we have her?
I see Ms. she's in the attendee room, so if we can please
Okay,
the hearing
Karen,
team
I'm gonna
elevate
hang
her.
up and we'll go online.
Thank you, Mr. Brodsky.
Yes.
Welcome back, Ms. Mann. I see you're in the room with us and you're welcome to try to come off mute and on camera. Now we have two. There we are.
Hey,
We can see
hi,
you and
There
hear
she
you.
is.
Excellent.
I'm finally, I'm falling apart over here. I'm so sorry.
Oh, no, thank you so much. And thank you for your patience. And
Oh, you
technology is a
too.
wonderful thing. And here we are.
My trusty laptop decided it wanted to not act correct. So plan B, iPad. So I'm hoping I can see everything correctly. So here we go.
Wonderful. No, and thank you. And it's a Monday, and I think that somehow seems to affect devices too. I don't know how that works. With that, I will go ahead and start by administering the oath.
Okay.
So if you would please raise your right hand. Ms. Mann, do you swear or affirm under the penalty of perjury that the testimony you will give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And with that, and you have your Zoom hand raised as well, which is good, but probably not intentional, but you can leave it if
It is
there we
not, yeah.
go. And with that, I will turn to you, Mr. Brodsky.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, Miss Mann.
Good morning, Mr. Bratsky. How are you today?
I'm good, thank you. So to start the questioning, could you tell us about your familiarity with boating on the Delta?
Well, I live in Discovery Bay, which is a boating community, and I've been boating in the Delta for 40 or 50 years. I'm the former Commodore of Discovery Bay Yacht Club, and I formerly was a representative to the Pacific Interclub Yacht Association. So a lot of boating involvement in the Delta waterways.
Okay, thank you. And could you tell us about your familiarity with the small towns and rural areas around near Hood, California?
Sure. I'm familiar with the small communities. Part of what I do for a living is I go to small communities as well as large communities. And I'm familiar with the farming, the tourism within the Hood, Clarksburg, Ileton, Walnut Grove, Rio Vista, the smaller communities throughout the Delta region.
Okay, very good. And what do you do for a living?
I am a real estate appraiser.
Okay,
Been an appraiser since 1980.
okay. And have you valued properties in the Delta area?
I have many farmland properties, residential properties, commercial, industrial, and some churches.
Okay, very good. And moving on a little more to the substance, what do you know about the Delta Tunnel Project?
Well, I've followed that for over 10 years, and I'm generally familiar with the different versions of the water, whether it be Bay Delta Conservation Plan or California Water Fix or Delta Conveyance Project. Many different names. It's still the same vehicle of waterway.
Okay, thank you. And what experience do you have with the Delta Conveyance Project Stakeholder Engagement Committee?
Well, I was honored to be asked to be a member in November of 2019, and I resigned in November of 2021. I may have missed a couple of meetings during scheduling conflicts or health, but I was really honored to be included in this SEC committee. I was really hoping that the project planners would value my knowledge both as a recreational boater, as a valuer of properties, real property in the community, and also as somebody who embraces the Delta and loves the Delta waterways in every aspect. I was looking forward to really meeting some of the other members and develop relationships within the Delta region, because the Delta water is a focus to the state of California. And I believed it was an opportunity to express my concerns about the impacts of the project on the Delta communities and have some good dialogue on how to correct them.
Okay, thank you. And you mentioned some of the previous versions of the project, Water Fix and Bay Delta Conservation Plan. What do you recall about the withdrawal of Water Fix and transition to a one-tunnel project?
Well, probably the most important thing that was to me, the twin tunnels was abandoned on my birthday, April 29th in 2019. So I thought that was a personal birthday present from Governor Newsom to me. Little did I know that around the corner was a proposal for a single tunnel. So DWR issued a series of papers in 2019 to promise Delta residents to make the single tunnel work, and promised to consider a stakeholder type committee where those of us in the community and users of the Delta had an opportunity to voice our concerns.
Okay, thank you. And let's see, could we please, Ms. Mullen, if we could have HCC SCDA 076. Okay, thank you. Are you able to see that okay on your iPad screen there?
I am.
Okay, great. And do you recognize this?
I do.
And what is it?
So it was an overall it was a promise. It's one of the promises to take the Delta residents more seriously and make the project work for our Delta communities.
Okay. Can you point out what specifically made you believe there was a promise to make the single tunnel work for Delta communities?
Absolutely. In the first paragraph, the second line, it starts off with Governor Newsom has stated he supports a single tunnel, building on the planning and analysis for a modernized conveyance in the Delta, done to date with an increased focus on how to make the project work for the Delta communities. The governor has also directed his administration. Well, just that one sentence was good enough for me, because that told me that there was change in the wind, and that the governor was very, very interested in hearing what those of us in the community around the Delta waterways that use it and live it, what our concerns are. Then if you go down to 1, 2, 3, 4, to the fifth paragraph, I believe it starts with the word simultaneous. And it says simultaneous and integral to the environment planning will be a new path forward on community input and engagement. No one understands the unique character of the Delta better than the people who live and work in the region. The Newsom administration believes that only through dialogue that the community can give voice to that character and help guide the Delta conveyance planning along a mutually beneficial path.
Okay, thank you. You said earlier that you expected the Stakeholder Engagement Committee, or I'll call it the SEC, would be an opportunity to have a dialogue about solutions. How does this document relate to that expectation?
Well, it did not. Instead of meaningfully addressing Delta stakeholders' concerns, the DCA put its efforts into producing reports and minutes that were crafted to make it look like it was meaningful engagement with the Delta stakeholders. In fact, it was not. It was a sham. Many times we were told the questions we wanted to be considered by the SEC had to be submitted as a separate comment to EIR instead. We were told that other items important to us were governed by administrative requirements, and there was nothing SEC could do on that. Often written responses to our questions were bureaucratic and double talk that really didn't say anything. Our recommendations for solutions were not taken seriously. There was no collaborative problem solving. There was no goal of making the tunnel work for the Delta communities. The DWR, in my opinion, reneged on Governor Newsom's promise to engage with Delta communities and to hear our ideas and concerns. Instead, we were barraged with a mass of hyper-technical construction details, then asked to give feedback on items that were really not important to us and that many of us did not understand. I remember minutely detailed presentations about the size and shape of different sizes of fish screens, and I think it's fair to say that 80% of the materials presented to the committee by the engineers were not well understood by the committee members.
Okay, that was quite a summary. Thank you. Let's
Yep.
just back up a little bit and go back a couple of steps and ask if Ms. Mullen, we could see HCC SCDA 077. Okay, we see that up on the screen. Are you able to see it there, Ms. Mann? And I believe you also have a printed copy of it.
I do.
And do you recognize this?
I do.
And what is this?
This is the California Department of Water Resources document titled Modernizing Delta Conveyance Infrastructure Q&A.
And what, if anything, did it say about engaging with Delta communities?
On page 2 of 4, item number 6, the question is posed, will Delta communities be involved in this new approach? And the response says, yes, participation and collaborative problem solving will be critical to our success. The Newsom administration wants to engage with Delta communities to hear their ideas and concerns.
Okay, thank you. All right, and then just skipping ahead again. What about the location of the intakes? What happened at the SCC regarding the location of the intakes?
Well, committee members pointed out that the intakes were located too close to communities and wanted to review potential alternative sites for intakes. We were told the water was not clean enough in other locations. At other times, we were told that the location of the intakes was within the purview of the committee because we were told that the location of the intakes was within the purview of the committee, but because of administrative requirements, no alternative intake locations could be considered. At other times, we were told locations were part of the CEQA process and we should submit the comment to EIR. I remember we spent quite a bit of time talking about the inputs.
Okay, thank you. And then if Ms. Mullen, we could please see HCC SCDA 079. And I believe you also have a printed copy of this.
I do.
And do you recognize this?
I do.
And what is it?
So it's a letter from Jan McCleary that Jan McCleary submitted as a comment to the DCP EIR.
Okay. And the letter reports on a June 22nd, 2020 Zoom meeting that included Catherine Mallon. Who is Catherine Mallon?
Catherine was the executive director of the DCA and presided at the SEC meetings.
Okay. And according to the letter, what did Catherine Mallon say about the SEC discussing the location of the intakes?
Ms. Mallon said that DCA was directed by the DWR not to discuss alternative locations for the intakes with anyone.
Okay, thank you. And during your time on the SEC, it sounded like you were pretty disillusioned earlier, but during your time there, did you try to provide meaningful input to the SEC?
Yes, I did. But after a year of being repeatedly frustrated by the way the SEC proceeded, I wrote to Catherine Mallon to express dissatisfaction and asked for changes in keeping with the DWR's promise for collaboration.
Okay, and what happened after you wrote the letter to Catherine Mellon?
No real changes were made, and it became more apparent to me that the SEC was being used as a tool of environmental injustice. So DWR could later claim that they heeded the community input through the SEC in helping shape the project. But that actually did not happen. We did not shape the project, I don't believe. In November of 2021, I gave up and I resigned in protest.
Okay, thank you very much. That concludes my direct question.
Thank you, Mr. Brodsky. And I will look to Ms. Minton. If you have questions for Ms. Mann, please go ahead.
I do. Good morning, Ms. Mann. My name is Kaylee Minton. I am counsel with the Department of Water Resources. I have some questions for you this morning. First off, how are you?
I'm getting better every day.
Good.
I'm sorry I had to miss the last meeting.
All right, we're going to dive right in. So first off, did you provide a CV for this proceeding?
I believe I gave one to Mr. Brodsky for submission.
I did not see that in your list of exhibits. Would you happen to know what that was marked as?
I don't. My CV is available for anybody for professional reasons.
Mr. Brodsky, maybe this is helpful. Can you clarify whether your intent was to submit a CV?
We did not intend to submit a CV.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Mann, you're providing testimony today based on your general knowledge and experience, correct?
General knowledge and experience in what?
Just experiences you may have had with the SEC. I guess I'm asking, like, what's your testimony based on?
My
experiences you've had, knowledge you have?
Just how the SEC operated or didn't operate according to the game plan as presented.
Okay.
And maybe I'll jump in very briefly. Ms. Mann, I think the source of the question is, it's kind of a legal technicality, which is, I believe the question in part is whether your testimony is based on your personal experience, things that you observed, your activities. Can you clarify that, just to have it on the record?
As an SEC attendee or as a professional appraiser?
From the perspective with which you are giving your testimony.
Okay, as SET member, yes.
Thank you.
Okay, can you ask the question again? I'm sorry.
You're providing your testimony today based on your general experiences, general knowledge, right? Or experiences you've had.
With the SEC, yes.
Perfect.
Thank you.
From your participation in the SEC, is it fair to characterize a majority of the comments you made as relating to the potential impacts to Discovery Bay?
Not necessarily.
No. Have you reviewed the SEC member question / comment tracking master log, which has been marked in this hearing as DWR 10?
Yes.
Yes, okay. Ms. Mullen, can we please pull DWR 10 up? And just to start off, this looks familiar to you as that document, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And if we could please go to PDF page 8, I believe. Let's try page 10. There we go. Okay. So, and these comments right here, would you agree that these are just overarching? They're about barges?
Well, they're about barges.
Okay. And then if we could go to PDF page 91, please. And let's see, it looks like this one on the bottom of the page. Would you agree, again, just overarching, this is about traffic concerns around Byron Elementary School, correct?
I'm trying to see which one we're talking about.
And we can zoom in on that bottom one there, please, Ms. Mullen.
Oh, yeah. That was regarding the map and the lack of information that was on the map. That was very important.
As relating to the area around Byron Elementary School, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, actually, no, that was, it was the middle school. It should have been the middle school. The elementary school is the Byron element. Actually, it's about the Byron Middle School. For some reason, that was a typo on the original, on that question. It should have been Byron. The middle school is on Byron Highway.
And then Ms. Mullen, if you could take us to PDF page 100, please. And then here, that top one that's from you, would you agree, again, just overarching, this is concerns about emergency services in the Discovery Bay and Byron area?
Yes, but it had nothing to do with barges.
But emergency services.
Okay, it had to do with emergency services, yes.
Okay. And then we could take that down, Ms. Mullen. So, Ms. Mann, would you agree that by choosing the Bethany alternative, many of the concerns that we went over were relating to Discovery Bay were addressed?
No, not just Discovery Bay. The central location was a poor location. Most of the items that I brought up regarding barges, they say submit a comment to EIR, or they have block text that they get back to me 6 months later. And regarding the central location, all I was trying to point out is that that location was a poor location, that the eastern corridor was the better route to go.
So what about, because we went over a couple different examples, we also talked about traffic around the elementary or the middle school, and the emergency services around the Discovery Bay and Byron area. We had a few different examples there that we went over.
Mm-hmm.
Would you agree that by choosing the Bethany alternative, some of those concerns were addressed relating to Discovery Bay and the Byron area?
Please define the Bethany alternative for me, because I know it is central corridor, eastern corridor, so I'm not sure what Bethany alternative. I'm sorry.
It's the alternative 5. It's the alignment that this hearing's about, that the DCP is.
The central alignment versus the eastern alignment?
No.
The corridors?
Give me one moment here.
Thank you. I'm sorry. I just want to make sure I have the terminology correct.
So just making sure I can get my descriptions correct. So the Bethany alternative, it's close to the eastern alignment, but it is a separate alignment. So are you aware of what alignment is the subject of this hearing?
Well, from the start, we were talking about the central alignment and the eastern alignment. And then the central alignment disappeared, was eliminated, apparently. DWR submitted their application to the Army Corps of Engineers recommending that the eastern route would be used instead of the central route. And so by that occurring on June 24th, Mr. Ryan announced to the SEC that the barges were gone and that we would not have the issues of the barges, which would affect the traffic. So some of what you're asking me about would be eliminated with the exclusion of the central district corridor, excuse me, and with the inclusion of the eastern alignment. So that's what I was trying to ascertain what the Bethany alternative was, because that's a little different than what we really talked about in the SEC meetings.
So I just want to make sure I heard this, I understood you correctly, that some of the concerns we had discussed earlier about the traffic and the emergency services and the barges, those concerns would be eliminated with
the use of the eastern alignment. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Mullen, could we please pull up DWR 1160? And Ms. Mann, I will represent to you that this document is taken from the DCA website. This document is linked as the meeting materials under the November 13th, 2019 SEC meeting information. Are you familiar with these materials?
Generally, I haven't updated myself on that particular document recently.
Okay. And Ms. Mullen, if you could please take us to PDF page 11. Ms. Mann, would you agree that the general purpose of the SEC meetings was iterated at this first meeting on November 13th, 2019 as being for technical and engineering feedback, discussing measures to offset effects, and to connect to community groups?
Yes, however, it also, to the right, it says to discuss measures to offset the effects. And the SEC was to be given the opportunity to identify engineering and design and considerations that would avoid, reduce, or offset effects from constructions and facility siting.
Thank you. And if we could please go to PDF page 19, Ms. Mullen. Do you recall, Ms. Mann, that Carrie Buckman gave a presentation at this first meeting?
She may have, I don't recall precisely.
Okay. If we could go to PDF page 28. Do you recall Ms. Buckman explaining that the CEQA process is a separate and distinct process from this committee?
Now, please ask your question again. I'm sorry.
Do you recall it being explained during that first meeting that the CEQA process is a separate and distinct process from the SEC committee?
Yes.
And if we could go to PDF page 68, please. And Ms. Mann, do you recall if it was laid out that the committee is not the proper forum for debates or deliberations regarding whether or not DWR should undertake a conveyance project?
Now, please repeat that again. I'm trying to remember that.
Do you recall that it was laid out that the SEC committee is not the proper forum for debates or deliberations regarding whether or not DWR should undertake a conveyance project?
Well, the way that I understood it is that the CEQA is the formalized process. And per Governor Newsom, the stakeholders' engagement is a more collaborative effort that concerns the public. That's how the stakeholders were selected to serve on the committees. So some of this is kind of the considerations that the stakeholder would have that information and hopefully have input.
All right, thank you very much. And I am done with this one, Ms. Mullen. Thank you. Ms. Mann, prior to serving on the SEC, have you ever served on a public agency board or committee?
No,
Are you familiar with the Brown Act?
I am now.
Did you review the presentation or training by the DCA legal counsel regarding the Brown Act?
To the best of my capability.
Do you recall if you attended the February 24th, 2021 SEC meeting when Mr. Nelson provided information on updates to the Brown Act?
I don't recall that.
Okay. Are you aware of how many members of the SEC constituted a forum?
I don't recall that.
Ms. Mann, have you reviewed the EIR Chapter 29, which is the Environmental Justice Chapter?
No,
Are you aware that CEQA does not require an analysis of environmental justice?
no,
Are you aware that project operations are not expected to result in disproportionately adverse effects on minority and low-income communities in an environmental justice study area?
I don't understand the question. Could you please repeat that?
Well, we can strike that one, actually.
Thank you.
Of course. Have you reviewed the EIR Appendix 3B, which is environmental commitments and best management practices?
No,
Are you aware that most significant impacts from construction or operation of the project facilities would be reduced by environmental commitments or mitigated to a less than significant level by resource-specific mitigation measures?
that was never shared with us.
I'll also object. That assumes facts, not in evidence.
I think we have a response, so we can move forward, Ms. Minton.
Ms. Mann, in your testimony, and we can pull it up if you don't have a copy in front of you, on it's PDF page 6. I can double check if that's, it might be
Probably,
regular page 5, perhaps.
and this is HCC SCDA 075.
Yes, sorry. So it would be, as it's numbered page 5 or PDF page 6, I'm looking at paragraph 34. Do you see that statement, Ms. Mann?
I do.
Do you have any data to support this assertion about a loss in property value?
I have the market available to me by way of real estate sales. This is what I do for a living. And from the marketplace, when adverse construction projects are built, one of the things that you do is compare the before and after effects. And that would be something that appraisers do as part of valuation. So I was concerned about the property values were already fairly low when you compare it to other communities, that after the construction, that I would assume that we would see an adverse effect to their property values.
You don't have any citations to that effect within your testimony, correct?
I did not bring any market evidence, but I have that evidence available in the marketplace by other projects.
Man, earlier you had stated that the SEC did not focus on the Bethany alternative. Do you remember that it was
Objection, she didn't say that.
Will you try that question again, Ms. Minton?
Yep, we'll take out that first sentence. Do you remember whether the Bethany alternative was introduced during the July 22nd, 2020 SEC meeting?
During the meetings, we referred to the corridors. Bethany alternative, as I mentioned previously, is not a focus that I have.
And let me just double check here. And that is all the questions I have for you, Miss Mann. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Minton. With that, I don't believe, does anyone else have questions for Ms. Mann? And I don't have questions at this time. So with that, I turn back to you, Mr. Brodsky. Do you have any follow-up?
Thank you. I do have follow-up. So if we could have DWR 10, PDF page 91. And then Ms. Mann was asked about question 7.14, which is, yeah, at the bottom of the page. And Ms. Mann, you were asked if your major concern in this, words to the effect, if your major concern was the Byron Elementary School. Aren't you also in this question expressing concern about the Mildred Anchorage?
The Mildred Anchorage area, that's correct. That was not noted.
Okay. And then you were asked about whether you were familiar with the Bethany alternative, and you said you addressed it at the committee in terms of an eastern corridor and a central corridor. Could we see AHO 1005 PDF page 10? There we go. And so you said you had discussed it in terms of a central corridor and an eastern corridor. Here on this page, it shows a map of a central alignment at the left, and then the middle panel, an eastern alignment. Is that basically what you understood to be the central and eastern corridors?
Yes.
And then over at the right, it has a Bethany Reservoir alignment. And is that essentially the same as the eastern alignment with some minor differences down at the bottom?
It appears to be the same.
I would just object to the characterization of how that appears on the map.
Noted. And Ms. Minton, you'll have an opportunity to follow up with Cross, so we can come back to this.
Okay. So the central alignment there basically runs through the center of the delta. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And the eastern alignment and the Bethany alignment both basically run around the eastern edge of the delta. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you. And then I'd like to go to, let me just pull up DWR 10. So you were asked if most of your comments related to impacts on Discovery Bay. So I'd like to take a look at your comments. If we could go to DWR 10 PDF page 10. And then there are two comments that you made on that page, comment 2.34 and comment 2.35. And what are those two comments about?
About the recreational activities in the waterways and the waterways safety and usage during construction barging.
Oh, and do they mention Discovery Bay?
No.
Okay, and then I'd like to go then to PDF page 11. And there's a comment 3.02. And what is that comment pertaining to?
I asked about maps which are being provided to actually name the waterways and show the location of the marinas.
And does that pertain to Discovery Bay?
Discovery Bay has a marina, but there's very little boating activity over 5 miles an hour in Discovery Bay. So when I talk about the waterways, I mean the rest of the 1,100 miles of the Delta waterways.
Okay, thank you. And then if we go to PDF page 16. And there's a comment there, 3.19. And that comment mentions barge routing. What was the concern? What was that comment about?
Let's see, the landing overlay maps. Well, the barge routing, the way that it was originally set up is that there was the barge routing map showed barge routes on 80% of the Delta waterways.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're fishing or boat skiing or overnighting in your boat, that's a concern whether the barges are coming or going or if they're parked there.
And
so that's why I asked about if there was overlay maps so that we could address it a little bit better.
And is that specific to Discovery Bay?
Oh, no, no, no.
And then the next one, 3.20, is about barge mapping also. Is that specific to Discovery Bay?
No.
And then if we could go to PDF page 38. And you have three comments there, 4.63, 4.64, and 4.65, where you're asking about gas pockets or gas wells. Are those specific to Discovery Bay?
No.
Hey, isn't it true that most of your comments were not about Discovery Bay?
That's correct.
Okay. I'd like to go to DWR 1160, PDF page 11. And we looked at this, you looked at this earlier. Yeah. At the left there, it says the committees are formed for stakeholders to provide input and feedback on technical and engineering issues. But what exactly does that mean? Doesn't an understanding of what you did depend on an understanding of what that means, technical and engineering issues?
Can you restate the second half of your sentence there? I didn't quite understand that.
It says that the committee was a forum for Delta stakeholders to provide input and feedback on technical and engineering issues.
Got it.
How widely did they tell you of what engineering issues included?
Well, we learned about fish screens, and we learned about the boring equipment, and we learned a lot about construction. Learned a lot about construction, but we were more interested in about things that had to do with the waterways, as far as what's going to affect recreation and what's going to affect the residents and the people that work in Discovery Bay. So that's why we were concerned about facility siting and the effects from the construction, like where the muck would be. So we were concerned about lots of things.
Okay, so you mentioned facility siting on the middle block there. It says the committee would have an opportunity to identify engineering and design considerations that will avoid or reduce or offset effects from construction and facility siting. It says that there. And then if we could look at PDF page 42 in that same document. And their number 2 also says Delta stakeholders will have the ability to minimize the effects of construction through engineering, design, logistics optimization, and facility siting. So did they tell you that engineering issues include facility siting?
I don't recall that. The siting.
Okay.
That's what I thought I was commenting on.
Okay. Did they consider your feedback on the location of the intakes?
No.
Okay.
They told us to submit to EIR.
Okay. Did they show you maps and give detailed presentations on the central corridor versus the eastern corridor?
Yes.
And did you tell them that the central corridor was not feasible because of impacts on recreational areas?
Recreation and more. Yes.
Okay. And could we look at DWR 10, PDF page 115? Let's see. Can we make that a little bigger? Here, let me get my copy and I'll tell you where to zoom in. Okay, comment 8.03. It says that you emphasize that the central corridor route is not a preferred option, and that it would go through a heavily used recreational area. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And then in the response there, it says water-based recreational opportunities presented at the February 26, 2020 Stakeholder Engagement Committee meeting indicated similar occurrences along the central and eastern corridors. Similar occurrences of impact on water-based recreational opportunities. Do you agree with that?
No, the effects on the central corridor goes right through the middle of the delta, the active delta where the waterways are, where the marinas are versus the eastern corridor.
Okay, and you were trying to tell them that.
Yes,
And then at the bottom, they say DWR will complete an assessment of the potential impacts within the environmental impact report. Is that correct?
yes,
So rather engage your feedback as an experienced boater, they said, well, we'll analyze it in the EIR. Is that correct?
that's how it appeared to me.
Okay. Did they want actual feedback from you?
We thought that they wanted feedback from us, but as time went on, we realized that we were just window dressing, and we weren't exactly sure at the time why they wanted our quote unquote our input or anything that we said, because when we came up with a concern, it usually fell flat on deaf ears, and or we were told submit that to EIR. So we were kind of frustrated because we thought that this was going to be a give and take, an opportunity to really do outreach to the community that was affected the most by this proposed construction project. And when I say the community, it's all of us surrounding the Delta waterways.
Okay, thank you. And then if we could see DWR 1160 again, this time PDF page 28. Okay, and you were asked if you understood that the SEC was separate from the CEQA process, or words to that effect. What happened at the committee when there was something that the DCA, some subject that would come up that they didn't want to deal with? How would CEQA come into that?
Well, first they would take down our notes, our questions, our comments, and in quite a few cases, we weren't responded to our questions for 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
It was either that, or we were told to submit our concerns or our suggestions to EIR. So it was like, well, are we really a part of this or not?
And if there was something that they wanted to talk about that was part of the EIR, did they go ahead and talk about it at the committee?
Oh, yes, quite enthusiastically.
But when there was something that was part of the EIR that you wanted to talk about, what did they say?
Well, we'll get back to you. We'll let you know, or submit your comments to the EIR.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Like to take a look at DWR 1160, page 42. And it says there on item 2, the DCA seeks to collaborate with Delta stakeholders to minimize the effects of construction through engineering, design, logistics, optimization, and facility siting. Did you understand this to mean that you would be called upon to give input to help minimize effects of construction?
Yes.
For example, effects on boating or Delta communities?
Yes.
Okay. And then item 3, it says DCA's engineering and Delta stakeholder engagement efforts will be described in a draft concept engineering report to be delivered to DWR for their use in the environmental review of a proposed Delta Conveyance project. So did you understand that to mean that your input then would be a part of DCA's draft concept engineering report?
Yes,
And did you understand it's the draft engineering report that the EIR evaluates?
that's what we assumed.
Okay. But what happened when you tried to make suggestions about impacts of siting choices? For example, the impact of siting choices of the intakes.
We were told to submit that to the EIR.
Doesn't that seem kind of circular?
Yes,
Okay. Could we go to DWR 10, PDF page 45? And at the bottom of the chart there, there's a comment by David Glosky. And he says, in one of the previous meetings,
I didn't ask about, it's outside the scope of my cross,
I'm sorry?
outside the scope of my cross.
Well, your cross uh, covered that she was to understand that it was limited to, that their participation was supposed to be limited to technical and engineering issues.
I
And
did not point to any questions in this exhibit outside of Karen Mann's.
well, you didn't point to this exhibit, but this goes to what your contention was. Your contention was that it was explained to them that their input would, when she was to understand their input, would be limited to technical and engineering issues. And this comment goes to what their input actually was limited to.
Mr. Brodsky, I think, I mean, this is Ms. Minton, as I recall, only asked about Ms. Mann's comments. So I would like, let's keep it focused as a basis with Ms. Mann's comments to stay within the scope of cross.
On this document. On this document, she only asked about Ms. Mann's comments. But
Correct.
elsewhere, she asked about what the scope of the participation of the committee was. And
But
the
let's stay
response
with
to
it. In this document, let's keep the questions
Okay.
focused on Ms.
Very,
Mann's
very good.
comments,
Thank you.
please.
Good. Okay, so let's look at one of her comments then. Let's look at PDF page 10. Comment 2.34 in the middle of the page. And you're asking a question about how barges will affect recreational activities in the waterways. As an experienced recreational boater, did you feel that was part of your role on the committee to engage in that subject?
absolutely.
Okay, and what was their response to that?
Well,
Here in the chart, it says right here under the response column, it says DWR will evaluate the potential effects of barge traffic and recreational navigation activities in the waterways as part of the EIR preparation. So did they want to engage with you, or did they just say, oh, we'll do that in EIR?
they said they will do that in EIR, and they responded to me about 6 months after I asked the question.
Well, let's see. How do you know that? The question was asked on the left there, 12/11/2019. And the response is on the right is 5/27/2020. So I guess that's correct. You're right. Thank you. Okay, if we could take a look at DWR 1159, PDF page 14.
Objection. I did not bring this up on my cross.
Well, let's see what the question is,
The,
please.
the question pertains to your understanding that the committee's activities are separate from CEQA. And the committee is not going to tread into the grounds of the EIR. That's what the question is about.
All right, let's go ahead, please, Mr. Brodsky.
Okay, so then there in the middle of the page, there's a bold heading 5B, Bethany Alternative Traffic Analysis. And it says, Mr. Hubbard presented on the Bethany traffic analysis. He reminded that this is not a CEQA EIR analysis. It is a planning study being done as a part of the engineering work to identify the footprint of the project. But doesn't that mean when the DCA wanted to talk about something that's covered by the EIR, covered by CEQA, they could go ahead and talk about it and just say, well, this is...
Objection. Calls for speculation.
I don't think it calls for speculation. It calls for exactly what it says on, doesn't it say here? Isn't this an example of the DCA talking about something that's covered by the EIR when they want to talk about it?
In your understanding, Ms. Mann.
Yes.
Okay. But if you brought up something that was covered by the EIR and they didn't want to talk about it, what would they say?
Please refer this to EIR
Okay.
in 6 months.
Okay. All right. That's all I have for right now.
Thank you, Mr. Brodsky.
Thank you very much.
And then with that, we will turn back to you, Ms. Minton. Do you have follow-up questions?
I do, hopefully just briefly. Ms. Mullen, could we please pull up DWR 08? And Ms. Mann, do you recognize this as being an agenda for SCC committee meeting?
Can we go down further on the page so I can verify that it's an agenda?
I'm sorry, and it might be best if we go to page 42.
Now that looks more like an agenda.
Sorry about that.
No problem.
And if we could scroll down just a little bit, Ms. Mullen, would you agree that item 4E there is a briefing on the Bethany alternative?
I see that it says that there was a briefing on the Bethany alternative.
All right, and I apologize, Ms. Mullen, I'm going to bounce around just a tad. If we could go to DWR 10, please. And PDF page 11. And I am looking at the row with the ID number 3.02.
Okay.
Ms. Mann, did you end up submitting this as a CEQA comment?
I don't recall.
Okay.
I know I worked on it, but I don't recall.
And then Ms. Mullen, if we could go back to DWR 08, please. And I am looking for PDF page 16 this time. And Ms. Mann, I'm looking at row 4 here. Are you aware that DWR modified the alternative so that most barging is eliminated, including barge landing?
Well, it's funny you would ask that because the barges suddenly disappeared from the SEC after, well, I want to say in spring of that year. And part of the reason is that there was an independent technical review report that said that the central corridor with all the barges, and they recommended that you move the route to the east for Highway 5 for logistics, for access to freeway so that you wouldn't have the barge traffic, etc. And DWR submitted their application to the Army Corps of Engineers on June 15th. And what is the date of this again? So on June 15th, it was already decided that we were told that there was going to be 0 barges. And so the barges, that was a big issue right from the start for those of us that are recreational boaters.
And then, so you'd agree that they were eliminated here. That's what you were saying in your response, correct?
Well, they're eliminated because of the DWR knew that they couldn't use barges on if the primary route was going to be the eastern route. There was no need for a barge traffic.
Would you agree that this is an example of a change made due to feedback received by DWR?
Not at all. Not at all. This is the information that Save the California Delta provided in 2017 or 2018 with information about how disastrous it would be to have the barge traffic in place with the public, with recreational boaters trying to use the waterways, and with the marinas that would lose their businesses. So with that being said, this happened as kind of as a hindsight, I believe, because once it was determined that the eastern route was the preferred route, like I said, Mr. Ryan announced to the SEC on June 24th that the barges were gone, but it wasn't because of SEC. We told them to get rid of the barges back in 2017 and 18.
All right. And then, Ms. Mullen, if we could please pull up AHO 1144. And if we could please go to page 7. Ms. Mann, are you aware that recreation concerns raised at the SEC specific to the environmental analysis were addressed in the EIR?
Well, I'm glad that they did, but we also brought it up during the Water Fix project, and it was a part of that program that they received maps from the Save the California Delta Alliance, which demonstrated where the recreation would be the most affected and where it would be least affected. And so that was a part of the Water Fix program, if you may.
Water Fix is a separate project though, correct?
Well, not really. It's just a tiger with different stripes.
And that concludes all my questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Minton. And thank you, Ms. Mann. Thank you so much for your time and testimony this morning. And thank you for going through the trouble of joining us and working through those technical challenges.
Well,
so
we made it
very
through
much.
it. So thank you.
Above and beyond the call of duty.
Thank you. Have a good evening or afternoon.
Thank you. And you are excused. I think it's 11:07. I do need a 5-minute break. But then with that, I think we can plan, let's try this. Before we take our 5-minute break, let's bring Mr. Tomlin, let's elevate Mr. Tomlin to participant and we'll do an audio video check, and then we'll go ahead and take our break.
Sounds good. He says he's standing by.
I'll look to the hearing team. There we are. And Mr. Tomlin, you're welcome to come on camera and off mute.
Hello.
Hello, it's working. Okay, good. I thought we would go ahead and get that through. Welcome, Mr. Tomlin. I think with that, we're going to go ahead and take a 5-minute break, and we will come back at 11:13. So thank you very much and see you shortly.
Thank you. You did great, Karen. Really good.
All right, welcome back. I will look to the court reporter. Are you ready for us to go back on the record? We may need a moment for our court reporter here.
Maybe before that,
I'm here. I'm sorry.
my captions
Do we want to go on the record? Well,
let's go ahead and go on the record. Yes, please.
Okay, we are
Then
on the
please,
record.
Mr. Tomlin.
I was just gonna say, my name's spelled wrong at the bottom.
Ah,
It's Brian. I don't know if it matters, but
not Byron.
yeah.
And I apologize for that.
Hmm?
We will certainly fix that.
Oh, there we go.
There we go.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you. And with that, I see we have Mr. Tomlin, Mr. Brodsky. If you can, there's Ms. Carroll. Perfect. I will start by administering the oath. So, Mr. Tomlin, if you would please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm under the penalty of perjury that the testimony you will give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you very much. Then with that, to you, Mr. Brodsky.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, Mr. Tomlin.
Afternoon.
Could you tell us a bit about your education and qualifications?
Yeah, I got my bachelor's degree in economics and another in political science from UC Berkeley in 2004. I got my PhD in economics from UC San Diego in 2010. And I am currently the chair of the economics department at CSU Channel Islands down in Camarillo, California. And my research focuses on applied data analysis and examining differential treatment between various groups. Although I have a lot of other research as well, looking at other things, but that's the main thrust of it. And my teaching focuses on applied microeconomic analysis and statistics and applied statistics.
Okay, thank you. And could you summarize the conclusions of your written testimony?
Yeah, so I compared the community of Hood to the state of California, to Sacramento County, Sacramento City, and other communities, nearby communities in what I call the study region between the Pocket neighborhood in the north and Walnut Grove in the south with respect to race and income. And what I found was that Hood is the most Hispanic area in the region, and it is the poorest area in the region that is compared to all those other regions, all the other communities in that region.
Okay, thank you. And if I could ask Ms. Mullen to please pull up HCC SCDA 025. This is your written testimony, Mr. Tomlin?
Looks like the first page of it, yep.
Okay, and then if we could go to PDF page 6, please. And there's a chart there at the top of the page labeled Table 3, if we could please enlarge that. Thank you. And Mr. Tomlin, could you please explain this chart to us, starting with the second row labeled percent Hispanic or Latino? What does it mean where it says negative 52.3% under the California column, negative 68% under the Sacramento County column, etc.?
Yeah, so these are differences in the percent of Hispanics, Hood relative to the other areas. So that negative 52.3% tells you that Hood is 52.3% more Hispanic than California is on average, or to make it make sense with the minus sign, California is 52.3% less Hispanic than Hood, and so on down the line. So Clarksburg is 90.3% less Hispanic. So this is the percent Hispanic in Hood, the difference between, for example, the percent Hispanic in Clarksburg and the percent Hispanic in Hood, according to that American Community Service, sorry, the ACS 5-year estimate.
Thank you very much. And the number below those percentage numbers in parentheses, less than 0.001, what does that number represent?
Yeah, that tells you that the difference is highly statistically significant. So you would say with 99.9% confidence that those differences are significantly different.
Okay. And as a whole, the 52.3% figure, that Hood is 52.3% more Hispanic than California. How would you characterize that evidence among what's available?
Yeah, so what it tells me is that I'm extremely confident that Hood is much more Hispanic than California as a whole. And that 52.3% figure is the best available estimate of the magnitude of that difference circa that time period, and
Okay,
so on down the line.
Okay, thank you. And continue on with table 3. What were your findings for the percent white?
Yeah, same idea. So it's just the percent white for Hood, the difference with the percent white for the other regions. So for example, California is 29.1% more white than Hood is. Clarksburg, 92.2% more white than Hood is, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay, thank you. And if we could next, please, Ms. Mullen, pull up HCC SCDA 028. And Mr. Tomlin, what is this document?
Yeah, so this is published by the U.S. Census Bureau. This is a little sort of handbook, if you will, on how their recommended methodology for comparing data from the American Community Survey for different geographic areas. So that's what I did with the ACS data. This basically tells you how they recommend doing it. And I follow this. These are the guidelines I follow.
Okay, thank you. And then if we could please go to PDF page 3. And there should be a section titled Determining Statistical Significance, scrolling down just a bit. There it is, Determining Statistical Significance.
Mm-hmm.
How, if at all, did you use this section in undertaking your analysis?
Yeah, so kind of like I was saying, this section in particular explains how to determine statistical significance. So those parenthetical p-value things I had in that table we just looked at, using the ACS data. And like it says there in the first sentence, one of the most important uses of ACS data is to make comparisons between estimates across different geographic areas. So that was just me quoting that first sentence there. And that's exactly what I did with the data.
Okay, thank you. Okay, another question. What is the difference between the decennial census and the ACS? All right, what does the ACS stand for, first of all?
It's the American Community Survey. It is just that. It's a survey. The census is a census. The census is the one that gets kind of the most attention because it's the big every 10-year one that we all think about when most people think about the census. So the census is conducted every 10 years. The ACS is conducted every year, and the data from it's reported in 2 different ways. As of 1-year data and then as 5-year data. I use the 5-year data because it's more precise, it has increased statistical reliability, and it's better suited for making the sort of comparisons that I needed to make for this report.
Okay, and does the ACS include data that the census doesn't include and vice versa?
Actually, yeah. So the ACS has income data and the census does not. So that's another reason that I relied on the ACS, is because in addition to being more appropriate, more precise for the time period, it has that income data, and the census just doesn't even have a question about income. So you can't get income data from the census.
Okay, thank you. And then if we could go back to HCC SCDA 025 again, please, and this time at PDF page 4. And then there's a table 1 at the bottom of the page. Okay, so first question, there are 2 columns under the income heading, median and mean. Elsewhere in your report, you use the words average income and mean income. What, if anything, is the difference between mean income and average income?
No difference at all. Those are synonyms.
Okay, thank you. All right, the mean income column in table 1 shows the mean or average income for California, Sacramento County, and Sacramento City as 130,718, 108,612, and 102,258 respectively. Is that correct?
Yep, that's right.
Okay, and then could we go to the next page, please, and look at table 2? Okay, and here the mean income for column here shows Clarksburg at 131,366.
636.
I'm sorry, did I get that wrong?
Just slightly. 131, 636.
636, thank you. Pocket neighborhood of Sacramento at 121,600. Walnut Grove 94,762. Freeport 83,054. Cortland 71,438. And then Hood at 52,247. So is it correct to say that Hood is at the bottom for income of all the geographic areas that you considered?
Yes, it is. It is the lowest income area.
Okay. And Hood's average income is less than half of California's average income, is that correct?
It is.
And Clarksburg's average income is higher than California's average income, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And that is all the questions I have on direct examination.
Thank you, Mr. Brodsky. With that, I will turn to Ms. Carroll. Do you have questions for Mr. Tomlin?
I do. Thank you very much. Well, good morning still, Mr. Tomlin, or Dr. Tomlin. How are you?
Hi, good morning. I'm
Thank
fine,
you.
thanks. How you doing?
Good. Thanks for joining us.
Mhm.
I just have a few questions for you today. First, are you aware of the geographical extent of the Delco Conveyance project?
No, I'm not.
Okay. So in your testimony, and Ms. Mullen, if you could please pull that up as HCC SCDA 25. We could go to PDF page 2, paragraphs 4 and 5. Thank you, Ms. Mullen. And Dr. Tomlin, right there on line 16, these are the communities that you analyzed as part of your data set, correct?
16 through 18, I think. Yes.
Okay. Yes.
Go
Go ahead.
I'm just gonna read it again.
Oh, please do.
Between Pocket and North and Mono. Yep, yep. Mm-hmm.
Did you analyze data for any other communities?
No.
And then looking at lines, let's go to the next page.
Oh, wait, well, I'm sorry. No, I mean, I guess I looked at California as a whole, didn't I? And Sacramento City and Sacramento County. Yeah. What's in the report, really?
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And Ms. Mullen, could we go to PDF page 3, please? And Dr. Tomlin, it looks as though you have a quote here on lines 17 to 20, and you're referring to HCC SCDA 27. Is that correct?
On 17 through 20?
Mm-hmm.
Let's see.
What page are we on?
PDF page 3, I think it's page 2 of the testimony, Mr. Brodsky.
Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm quoting there. That's explaining why the 5-year ACS is the way to go, because the 1 year doesn't do enough. So that's why I didn't use the 1 year and why I did use the 5-year.
Okay. And Ms. Mullen, can you please pull up HCC SCDA 27? And Dr. Tomlin, is this the document you're quoting from?
No. This is a census. This is a copy of, maybe you want to talk about a different document. This is just a,
Correct. So Ms. Mullen, can you please go back to 25? HCC SCDA 25.
oh, did I write the site wrong, maybe?
That's what I wanted to double check. If you
Oh,
could
I might have
footnote.
footnoted it wrong. Let's take a look at that footnote, can we?
Thank you.
Oh, yeah. In fact, I was hoping you guys would ask me this at the start. I have that correction in the IBID. The IBID there on 3 and 4 is supposed to refer to 1.
Okay.
Sorry.
It's supposed to refer to 1.
To 1.
The website there?
Yes, exactly.
Okay, so it doesn't refer to 28.
It does not refer to what's there in footnote 2.
Okay. Does that 1 refer to HCC SCDA 28?
Well, I could read it. Might want to give me a few minutes. Or you know what we could do is if you could just search it, that'd be easier. Just do a find for it. But otherwise, no, if it says I'm referencing that website there, then that's what I'm referencing.
Okay.
And my apologies for that IBID.
Oh, no worries. So did you provide a hard copy of that website as part of your exhibits?
No. But it's still there. You can access it. So
That website would not have changed since that June 2025 date that you have listed?
I don't suspect, the shutdown affected some of the census stuff. So it's hard to know exactly if anything changed, but I strongly doubt that changed since then. Yeah, I would encourage you to go check it out. There's lots of useful stuff there about how to use the census.
Sounds good. Ms. Mullen, PDF page 4, please, of this exhibit. And Dr. Tomlin, here looking at lines 6 and 7, do you see that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
And you state here that when data at the census designated places level was unavailable for a community, you used the census block level data instead. Is that correct?
Yes. And you can see where I did that in the table with little plus sign things.
Why did you do that?
Well, because when the data is not available at the, because my goal was to have a full picture. And so if the data wasn't available, I tried to get the next best thing available.
And what is the difference between the census designated places level and the census block level?
Yeah, so census designated place is within a block. So everywhere is within a block, and specifically a block group. There's the census tract, and then the census block groups compose the tract, if you will. They're like puzzle pieces that fit together to make the census tract. And census designated places are within those. So for example, Hood, the CDP of Hood is within census tract 99 block group 4, for example, of Sacramento County.
So does a CDP overlap block levels?
Yes, yeah, exactly. So if you were to look at a CDP as having, you'll never get a CDP with a larger population, for example, than the block group that it's in, because it's part of that block group. Does that make sense?
Yes,
Okay.
but is a block group different than a block level?
I'm sorry, I'm going to say block group there, census block group. I don't know why I said block level.
Okay. Sorry, and I'm going to probably refer to it as level because that's what your testimony.
Yeah, I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. The census block is short for census block group, and I looked at it at the census block level. So I'm not referring to it as a block level. I'm saying I looked at a census block, which I'm using as shorthand for block group. Does that make sense? So a census block and a census block group, I'm using interchangeably. I'm just dropping the word group.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's census tracts and then there's census block groups, sometimes referred to as census blocks. And I looked at the census block level,
Right.
AKA the census block group level.
Got it.
Yeah, sorry, semantics are annoying.
When you're a lawyer, you need the specifics.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Which communities did you use census block level data for?
Yeah. Well, let's just pull up the report and make sure I say this right. So it looks like I relied on that so I only used that for median income for Clarksburg and median income for Hood.
And Mr. Brodsky, could you help me out? That report exhibit number is,
His written testimony?
oh, it's just the testimony?
Yeah.
Yes, that's all we have is HCC 025.
Oh, more semantics. I'm calling it a report.
It's okay.
Okay.
Just want to make sure it's clear for the record. So if someone in the future is reading this, they can figure it out too.
Yeah, I feel sorry for them.
Okay. And then on lines 8 through 10 here, you say that the pocket neighborhood does not have a CDP?
It does not.
Why not?
That's up to the census. They pick their designated places, and they're areas that are considered communities, you know, they're census designated places, they're sort of known communities, and they pick them in a certain way. I don't know why they didn't choose to make the pocket neighborhood its own CDP. It's often referred for smaller areas. That pocket neighborhood, to the extent that the zip code that I use to approximate it, 95831, does a good job, that's got over 40,000 people in it. So it would not be, you wouldn't usually think of that as a CDP. I think there's usually for smaller areas.
Why did you use the zip code here rather than the census block level data?
Because there's lots of different tracts and blocks in there. It's sort of, if you look at census tracts on a map, they're not the prettiest looking things. It looks like sort of a gerrymandered district. If you know, it's got all these crazy things sticking out of it. And so I looked at the maps, and my understanding of what the pocket neighborhood is appeared well represented by that zip code, 95831.
So is your understanding of the pocket a typical understanding of the pocket neighborhood?
I don't know what other people think about the pocket neighborhood.
Okay. And then you also use zip code data to analyze the Freeport community. Is that because it doesn't have a CDP?
You know, Freeport does have a CDP, but it does not have ACS 2022 information for that CDP for some reason. I don't know why. But I wanted to get an idea of Freeport nonetheless. So I just went with that zip code. There were some other block groups. Well, I'll let you ask the question.
Why didn't you use the Freeport CDP to do the demographic analysis for race?
Well, sure. So I could have, but it's, again, they don't have any population even listed in the 2022 ACS for Freeport. But if you wanted to, you could look at like the census 2020, for example, has data for them. It shows I forget what it shows. I didn't memorize it, but it's something around like 15% Hispanic. It's not a very Hispanic area according to that. And then there's a couple of nearby block groups, right? Like census tract 40.12, block group 3. That's also about 15% Hispanic. It's rather wealthy. The median income there is like 130K or above. So to the extent that those match, it does. I went with sort of the thing that was the most conservative insofar as it made it the most Hispanic and the least affluent, in other words. So I didn't want anyone to be like, oh, you picked a certain data that makes it look a certain way. So I'm like, I'm just going to go for, I'm going to be conservative on that as much as possible. But any of the ACS data I did see for Freeport CDP 2020, 2019, none of them actually, they all had 0% Hispanic. So In other words, the data overall doesn't paint a picture of Freeport as being Hispanic at all. It's very low Hispanic. And to the extent that data is available for it, it appears to be affluent.
And Dr. Tomlin, you've said that in doing your data analyses that you've looked at different block levels or CDPs. How could I recreate the geographic areas you used in your analyses?
Yeah, so hopefully all the footnotes will get you to the places you need to go. So there's lots of different resources, and working with census data is there's a steep learning curve. But you would hopefully be able to follow my footnotes to see how to use the census appropriately. Now that the shutdown's over, there's some online tools that you can use to pull those up. Fortunately, I did a lot of this analysis before the shutdown started. So, although you can also use online sources like iPooms, which you can use to access census tract data at the block group. You can see CDP data in there. That's IPUMS.
Thank you. I was going to ask.
Yes.
But by following those websites, don't I need to know which block groups or which CDPs to select?
Hopefully I listed all of them. So like Clarkburg, so if you look at table 1 and 2, table 1 will tell you what to look at in terms of the big areas. So the state of California, that's just the state of California. Sacramento County, hopefully that speaks for itself. And then Sacramento, the city, hopefully that's clear. And then table 2, we have Clarksburg, CDP, right? So you'd be looking for the CDP for Clarksburg. Pocket neighborhood, which I approximated with zip 95831. Walnut Grove, I used the CDP there. They have a CDP. Freeport, I approximated with 95832 for the reasons I just told you about. Cortland, they have a CDP, and Hood has a CDP. So hopefully you know which one has a CDP and which one's a zip, which one's etc.
Okay. So you didn't have to manipulate the geographic area. Those are populated in the website data.
Oh, yeah. That's all given. Yeah.
Okay. And does CDP level data capture residents that reside in between the designated CDP geographic areas?
I do not believe that it does. They're within the border of the CDP that you can see on this. I don't cite any of the maps in my report, so there's no links to those map websites. But if you wanted to see them, to get an idea of where this data is being pulled from just visually, there are resources for that as well.
And what are those resources?
I don't have the websites memorized, but yeah, I don't. But they're government websites. None of these are like private data. These are all government data.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So, and maybe I'm stressing this overly much, but I may want to make sure I understand. So for tables 1 and 2, you say using the appropriate queries for data sets and geographies, you mean selecting the CDP or the zip as indicated in the table.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yep. So what's nice is that data.census.gov/table. It's literally an online tool, and you can type in what you want. So you can say, let's just say, here I'm in Camarillo, right? You can say, I want the city of Camarillo. I want to see the ACS data for some year or whatever year you're interested in. And you can do the 1 year or the 5 year. And then you can say, these are the stats I want, right? So I'm looking for, I don't know, education or something like that. So there's all sorts of different things that'll pull for you. And again, it's a learning curve. So don't be hard on yourself but it's all there.
Okay, great. And then you mentioned that you don't believe there's any changes to the data that you used. Is that correct?
I don't think so. Now you're asking, I want to double check, but I just took things from the government data and I literally just put them into this table. So if there is a difference, it's a typo, but I don't suspect there are any
Okay.
because I was really careful.
And with respect to the ACS data, you included the 5 years of 2018 to 2022, is that correct?
Yeah, that's right.
Why didn't you use 2019 to 2023?
Yeah, because I was told that the decisions that were being made, I'm not sure what they were exactly, but they were being contemplated circa 2023, 2024. So that 2023 data wouldn't have been available until like December of 2024. So if someone was making a decision circa late 2023, the best data they would have would be that 2022, the ACS 5-year 2022. So I tried to use the best data that the decision maker had available to them at the time.
Okay, great.
Mhm.
And then, Dr. Tomlin, you had a section in your testimony on PDF page 7 called Documents Reviewed. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
And did you provide any of these documents as exhibits to your testimony?
Is this demographics? I mean, insofar as the tables 1 and 2 count, then yes. Otherwise, no, I just because like I said, the some of these data are like online searchable databases. So it doesn't make sense to hand you a picture of a thing and be like, this is where you would type hood CDP, if that makes sense. Right? It's dynamic.
That makes sense to me. And that's all the questions I have for you. Thank you very much, Dr. Tomlin.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Carroll. Is there anyone else who has questions for Dr. Tomlin? And I do not at this time. So then back to you, Mr. Brodsky. Do you have a redirect for Mr. Tomlin?
Redirect briefly. First of all, do you prefer Dr. Tomlin or Mr. Tomlin?
I'll just go, Brian's great.
Okay. I didn't mean any offense by.
No, it's okay. My students call me it. Makes me uncomfortable. I get it.
Okay, so you had some questions about using the block level rather than the CDP level information. And just to clarify, for Hood, that applied to the median income, correct?
Yes. So interestingly, for Hood, they did have the mean income, but not the median for the CDP. So
I'm sorry, go ahead.
oh no, so since I wanted to provide both for every area, I just tried to be as thorough as possible. I tried to get close.
Okay. And so the 52,247 mean income for Hood is for the Hood CDP.
Yes, exactly. So the mean income there for Hood CDP of 52,247, that is Hood's mean income. And in fact, I don't know. No, I don't know. You don't want a stats lesson. Never mind.
Okay. And then in terms of the ethnicity or percent Hispanic or Latino for Hood, that is also at the CDP level. You didn't have to resort to anything else.
Nope, that is exactly the Hood's CDP data.
Okay. And so then going down the percent Hispanic and Latino, those are all for all the communities or geographic areas. Those are all the CDP level data except for the Pocket and Freeport, which was the zip level data.
That's right, in table 2, yeah, exactly. And then obviously in table 1, it's, the city, state, county.
All right. And then so well, let's just quickly look at the table 1. So the table 1, these are larger geographic units.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not a CDP. I mean, California's a state, Sacramento's a county, Sacramento City's a city.
Yeah.
It's the actual level data for that unit that you you used here.
Yes.
All right. And then going back to table 2, so you use this for race or for Hispanic Latino,
Uh-huh.
you use this zip code level data for Pocket Neighborhood and for Freeport.
Mm-hmm.
And is that standard procedure? How is that considered in the profession of demographics and statistical analysis to use the zip level data for these smaller communities like this in this situation?
Yeah, I think you use the best that you have available. So that's what I did.
Okay. And then on the July, using strike July, I mean, say July, using the 5 years, 2018 through 2022, you have to pick some time period, right?
Yeah, you can't. Yeah, it's all the data has a date attached to it on whatever government website you're pulling it from.
And that information to use that time period was not based on looking at what the outcome would be if we used one time period versus looking what the outcome would be if we used another time period. It was just that seemed the most appropriate.
Yeah, these are going to give you your best estimates for what's going on in terms of these demographics in these areas in that time at like circa 2022 and all the way until better data becomes available, which like I said is usually December of the following year. So if you wanted 2023's data, you'd be waiting till December 2024. To get 2024's data, that's not available yet, right? Because we're here in November. I wouldn't suspect that's going to be available till December 2025.
Okay.
Maybe later, because again, the shutdown slowed everything down.
Okay. I think that's everything that I have for you, not as far as substance, but not. We should then, are you saying we should make a correction?
Yeah, those IBIDs need to be corrected.
Where the footnotes and so forth are?
Yeah, exactly. So
we'll submit a rat on that,
okay.
Madam Hearing Officer, if that's okay.
Thank you. Yes, please.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's
sorry
all
for
I
the
have.
confusion about those.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you. And then with that, Ms. Carroll, do you have any follow-up?
I do not. Thank you.
Thank you. Then with that, thank you, Dr. Tomlin or Mr. Tomlin.
Yes,
We'll
Brian.
go with a formal reference.
Cool.
Thank you so much for your time and your testimony and for joining us this morning. And thank you for your patience. I know we rescheduled you a number of times, so thank you for being here. And
No worries at all. Happy to help. Thank you, Hearing Officer
you.
Quincy. And thank you to, I'm sorry, was it Anne asking me the questions? Was it Anne? Thanks, or whoever.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
I believe with that, thank you, Mr. Brodsky. And I think with that, we have concluded the items on our agenda for today. My intent is to issue an amended hearing notice that will reflect that we will meet on December 9th, starting at 9 a.m. in person at the Cal EPA building, and then also keeping the December 10th on calendar from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. as needed. And you'll see some other items coming out from this office to keep us on schedule. But is there anything else before we adjourn for today? Ms. Carroll, please.
Yes. You mentioned considering whether you could get the ruling out to DTEC regarding the scope of rebuttal.
Yes.
I didn't know if you'd considered that during the breaks and had an answer to that.
I don't, but I will get it to it before the end of the day. I'll send something out by email. It'll be relatively informal, but just to confirm whether or not there's a change in the deadline for that. So thank you, Ms. Carroll.
Thank you.
Then with that, we are adjourned. I will see you on December 9th. Thank you.
Thank you.